Welcome everyone to another episode of Follow the Light Music Review. My name is John DeLaurentis, and this is episode 10 of Revisiting the Classics. And today I'm going to be looking at a very special, important album to me from the wide and varied discography of Phil Keaggy. This is an album that I've listened to over the years since its release, probably hundreds of times. And to choose one album from Phil Keaggy's vast discography is hard. To do a spotlight on revisiting the classics, certainly there's a whole bunch of them that could fit into this series. And at some later date, I am going to plan to put together a series spotlighting the discography of Phil Keaggy from the early days all the way up. I'm going to have to do it in several parts, obviously, maybe by decade, but that'll be coming sometime in the future on the channel. Phil Keaggy being my favorite artist in Christian music. Okay, before we get into looking at the album that we'll be spotlighting today, I would like to encourage you to please subscribe to the channel, add your comments. I would love to hear your thoughts about this particular album or any other album by Phil Keaggy. And also, it would be great if you can share out the video to those you know who would enjoy this particular episode and like the video. And you can also ring the bell for notifications so you can be updated when new content is created for the channel. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the spotlighted album today, and that is Phil Keaggy's The Wind and the Wheat. And of course, this is one of his many instrumental albums. This was recorded in 1987, released on the Colors label. And the Colors label was a label that was from Maranatha Music. And it was a series of albums that were instrumental, where it was contemplative music, music to kind of worship to, music to meditate to even. And it's a great series of different albums were released on the Colors label. And this album features kind of a contemplative blend of jazz tracks primarily, and some varied different musical textures throughout it. It also features some incredible guitar soloing work by Phil Keaggy, and and the opening March of the Clouds. And the album itself won in 1988 the GMA Dove Award for Instrumental Album of the Year. All right, so before we get into the songs, let's take a look at this version. This is the original version on CD that I got, still have it. Like I said, this was released in 1987. So we have a nice little picture on the front here. Kind of goes along with the title of the album, The Wind and the Wheat. And on the back, we have a nice picture of Phil there. And we have all the song titles there, and listed underneath each song is all the different musicians that are here, and some other credits and stuff like that. So inside the booklet here, it opens up, and it's a fold out, and you see some of the other albums that were released in the Colors series here. And you see some credits here for the songs. And then what's neat in here is there is a song-by-song description by Phil Keaggy. And he talks about, one of the things I'm going to read here for you. I'm going to get my little magnifying glass here. Just as an introduction to his thoughts toward this album, he says, "There is a message to be conveyed in song. As I hear it, the wind and the wheat reveals a great longing for paradise. That longing of those of us who have reached deep within ourselves to believe in the promise of eternal life, which God wants to give us. Walk through the album with me." And then he goes on to talk about his thoughts about all these particular songs on here, what he was thinking, what he was, what he feels the song's meaning is. And again, because it's a lyricless album, instrumental. So these are the thoughts and the inspirations behind all of these songs here. Now, this particular album here did have an official remaster by Phil Keaggy, and this was this version here. It's called Phil Keaggy, the Remaster Series, The Wind and the Wheat. And you have a more current picture of Phil here, and then the original album cover there. And this is a digipack, and it has a nice alternate picture of Phil from the photo sessions and the song titles there. And then it opens up. Okay. I guess this is probably a digital wallet, I guess they would call this one, because digipacks usually have the holder for the CD. I can't think of the exact term for it, but you know, the CD holder. This one just has a slip in with the CD coming out here. So it has the credits here, and it has some nice notes inside from Phil. They actually talk about how this all came about, and some nice background stuff. He also gives you some of his equipment that he used on the album as well. And he says here, so fast forward to 2013, and this is when this reissue came out. I invited longtime friend and recording genius Gary Hedden to remaster the album for the re-release. Gary engineered my first solo album, What a Day, and was a huge contribution to the recording and mastering of 1978's The Master and the Musician, of course, another highly acclaimed Phil Keaggy instrumental album that is a favorite of a lot of people. He took the original master mixes and brought new life to the project with fresh ears and great gear. I'm delighted that folks will again get to hear this album in the remastered series collection, and hope it will find new listeners as well. All right, so I have this one too, and this does sound, the original sounds great too, but this does kind of gives it a little bit of an upgrade in the remastering, and it sounds great. I'm not sure the availability of this anymore. You can double check maybe on Phil Keaggy's website, but like I said, this one came out in 2013. Remastering the original 1987 album. So that's the two versions of the Master of the Musician that are available, or the ones that were released. And let's talk a little bit about this album. Well, Keaggy had assembled some of the finest musicians in all of Christian music for this album. Jeff Lambs is here on keyboards, Alex Acuna, Ron Tutt, and Dave Spur on the drums, Harlan Rogers on piano, Dave Coy on bass, Smitty Price and Sherry Anderson on synthesizers, and Alex McDougall on percussion. So beautiful selection of musicians to bolster the beauty of this album. So let's talk about these songs that are on here. So the first opening track is called March of the Clouds. And this begins kind of with a nice keyboard intro, and the song soon has Keaggy entering in with the guitar soloing melody as the drums are lightly played throughout it. And the song continues to build into this euphoric explosion of incredible guitar solos. So there's some really great examples of Phil's mastery on the fretboard here in his guitar soloing. It gives kind of off a kind of a breezy, jazzy, inflected mood. It's a wonderful opening to the album. And those of you who may not know, there is a over 13-minute version of the March of the Clouds medley that appears on Phil's Backroom Tracks collection that were originally released on cassette. That volume 4 of that one has that on there. Now, of course, the Backroom Tracks were sought after for a long time. They were released on cassette to fan club members, I believe, and so they had limited distribution. And I remember wanting them and trying to find them Very hard to get. But now they're easily and readily available on Phil's Bandcamp page. So you can get them, you can buy them, download them. And like I've said before, for $10 a month, if you become a VIP subscriber, you'll have everything. You'll get all the backroom tracks. And Phil has added a whole bunch more backroom tracks in the series from that initial ones that were released. He's continued to put out further volumes that are also available on the Bandcamp page here. So it's a great opening to the album. This is followed by a song called Paradise Dream. And this is kind of a lilting, contemplative song, features some beautiful acoustic guitar from Phil. And the song kind of sets the mood for one to think of heaven, and all the while invoking images of kind of serenity. This is a great album to just sit down and listen to in many different forms, to actually sit there, close your eyes, put it on, and just worship the Lord with it. It's also great to have on in the music, in the background, if you're working on something on your computer. It makes great background music that will fill you with joy as you're listening to it and doing other things. But it also is an album that you can sit there and soak in and worship to as you're listening to it. So just a fantastic instrumental album. This is followed by The Wind and the Wheat. This is the title track that comes, and this has to be one of the most beautiful melodies ever written, in my opinion. It is the album highlight for me. It opens with some incredible acoustic guitar fretwork. The song builds into its main melody line as the song builds up to a cascading flow as the bass, the drums, and the keyboards underscore the beauty of the soundscape. And about 2.5 minutes in, Keaggy has this beautiful, emotional guitar solo that's followed by a short, fretless bass solo by Dave Coy. It's just incredible musicianship. Now, Phil has said about this song that it was inspired by harp styles, both past and present. This song for sure ranks in my top 10 favorite songs of all time. The next song is a song called Where Travelers Meet. This opens up with some melodious piano by Jeff Lambs and some guitar harmonics. And the song kind of paints this picture of its title as the music elicits a meeting of musical harmony here. And on the track, Phil plays electric, acoustic, and bass guitar. And it has kind of like a whimsical musical motif. And it calls to mind kind of like maybe some joyous conversations you would have between fellow travelers, which one could surmise. He's referring to those who are walking the walk of faith together. Just a nice, beautiful song as well. Then this is followed by From Shore to Shore. And on this song, Phil handles all the instruments. So he plays the keyboards on here and all the guitars and even some percussion. And this is another song with a breezy melody. It's augmented with some Spanish-flavored guitar splashes. And one can imagine sitting on a beautiful beach, watching the waves come in and out, and just enjoying the wonder of God's creation. That's kind of all the emotions that are kind of evoked from this particular song. This is followed by Prayer, and this features some jazzy guitar solo chording and soloing by Phil. And the song features some nice percussion work from Alex Acuna. The song builds its layers of musical soundscapes, which eventually lead up to this incredible electric guitar solo section by Phil. Next song is The Mission. This one starts with acoustic guitars as Phil constructs a memorable melody line that brings peace to one's soul when you're listening to it. It's a song that's both worshipful and contemplative in nature. And it features some jazzy electric guitar textures that are interspliced with the acoustic guitar and some understated synthesizers on here from Cherry Anderson. This is followed by a song called The Promise. This is a song that is in a similar musical vein as the opening March of the Clouds, as a song that has a lot of masterful guitar soloing on it, as a song is anchored by Phil's bass, Dave Spur's tasteful drum work, and percussion from Alex Acuna. This one has echoes of Phil's earlier song, Noah's Song, a song that was written a few years earlier. Then the next song on here is The Reunion, and this is one you've probably, if you're familiar with Phil Keaggy's work, you probably remember that this song first appeared on his 1986 Way Back Home album. So it appears here basically in the same form. It's a song where it's just the acoustic guitar. It's layers of the acoustic guitar played by Phil, no other instruments. And it's kind of a song that's meant to evoke joy that's found when friends and loved ones reunite together. So think of those family gatherings when you get to see people in your family that you haven't seen for years, and you have that joyous reunion type feeling. But it also has images of thinking of the future when loved ones who have passed on to heaven will be reunited with us as well. So beautiful song, again, first appearing on the 1986 Way Back Home album, and added on here into this particular album. And then the album closes with I Love You, Lord. And this song here, which ends here, the 10th track on the album, is a song that's a cover song. This is a song that was written by Lori Klein, and it first appeared on a Colors sampler album. And it was actually the very first song that Phil did that would lead to the recording of a full album of The Wind and the Wheat. And I think the second song he recorded after this song appeared on the sampler, then The Wind and the Wheat was the next song that he wrote, and then he put together the entire album and came out on Colors. And this is a song, is a nice worshipful song that ends the album, and it's filled with some of Phil's beautiful melodies, interpretive skills here. This is a particular song that if you don't know the history of it, it's really an interesting backstory to this. This song's writing history by Lori Klein was she was facing a very dark period of time in her life. She was struggling with loneliness due to having no nearby friends. She had no church home. She had no extra money. Her husband was busy all the time with his studies, and she did not know how to drive, so she couldn't get in a car and go and see somebody. So, and she had a toddler at the time. And so what she would do is she would get up early in the morning and she'd try to have some time with Jesus before the baby woke up. And one morning when she was feeling particularly empty, she picked up her Bible and she had her guitar, and she basically cried out to the Lord and said, Lord, if you want to hear me sing, would you give me something that you would like to hear? And so she started strumming her guitar, and then the first words that came out of her mouth were, I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you. All right, and the rest is history. This song has gone on to have a huge life as a worship song. Now, that was in 1976, and it's interesting, she shares a story that in 2000, so many years later, she and her husband were at a discipleship training school, and late at night, she heard a baby crying, and she walked out into the hallways of the dormitory so she could pray outside the door for this baby to quiet down and to fall asleep. And as she was standing outside the door praying, she heard the mother start singing a song. And lo and behold, the song that this woman was singing was I Love You, Lord, her own song. So imagine the joy of seeing how the Lord gave you something back in 1976, and you get to see some of the fruits of that song that the Lord gave you. And she said that after she heard the mother singing the song, the baby fell fast asleep and it was quiet. So really incredible story here. So all in all, again, this is, I would rank as one of my favorite albums in Keaggy's vast discography, and he has a huge amount of albums, and I have pretty much all of them. So I hope you enjoyed this look at a classic instrumental album by Phil Keaggy, and I would love to hear your comments about this album. If you have some history with this album, or if you're not familiar with this album, give it a listen. Like I said, you can go on to Phil Keaggy's Bandcamp page and you can listen to it there. And I'm sure it's on YouTube. You can find it there as well. But give me some comments and what you think about this particular album of Phil Keaggy's, and maybe what one of your favorite Phil Keaggy instrumental albums is. You can put that all in the comments, and let's start a nice discussion about the work of this master guitarist, Phil Keaggy. So that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this. And as always, I'm going to encourage you to follow the light that shines out of the darkness. God bless everyone.